What is happening, my YouTube family? Of course, it is your boy B New. I'm coming at you on this Sunday. And first and foremost, as always, want to send out positive vibrations and positive blessings to anybody who could be listening. Now, with all that being said, we got a lot to talk about on today's show. And I do apologize once again. I know I keep saying that for not broadcasting the past few days, but your boy has been quite busy, especially doing some things. When you work for a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, sometimes you get a little bit busy, and that's what's been going on. So I'm just trying to get caught up on some things, and now that I have a little bit of time, I do want to shed some light on, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers and what has been going on with the Lakers, as well as LeBron James, with the Lakers with just a few games left to go after this All-Star break, and just to see where they're going to fall in the standings and how this season will play out, and just how long can they last without Anthony Davis, because there are some teams, and one of those teams that are creeping up on them in the standings, who could possibly eliminate them from even being in the play-in game. And one of those teams is, of course, the New Orleans Pelicans, who the Lakers actually take on tonight in a game that seems to be maybe just a little bit more important than what we thought it would be. But I'm going to touch on that in just a moment too. But before I do that, I didn't get to come in on yesterday and talk about the game that happened on Friday. So let's just put it like this. We all know that Anthony Davis, and y'all excuse me, there's some rough roads down around this area right now, so just bear with me. But we didn't get to talk about what transpired on Friday night when the Los Angeles Lakers took on, who did they play? It wasn't Utah, because they beat Utah. It was the Clippers. The easy to forget about Clippers. Yeah, I forgot about them, but you can't really keep roasting them, because we all know the Clippers, they made 6 games in a row that they have now beat the Lakers. And let's just talk about why. And there's a lot of different reasons. And, you know, people always say you like to make excuses for the Lakers. It's not really making excuses. What it is breaking down the game and giving you the reasons what led to wins and losses. It's called what you call an analysis. Look it up. It's called analyzing. So, with all that being said, the Lakers did fall to the Clippers at home 102-105 and lost by 3 points. We're going to get into the last minutes of what happened in that game here in just a second. But what I did want to point out is that LeBron James' streak of 25 points in a row came to an end. And when you know it happened in a loss. And LeBron James, you can call it all-star rush, you can call it whatever, but had LeBron James played the way he'd been playing all season, then that would have been a victory for the Lakers. But of course, as we all know, the Lakers always find a way to fall behind in situations like they do. It's like a script that they just been following all year. Get down, fight back, take lead, lose game, or either get down, fight back, take lead, barely win. That's just the type game the Lakers have been in so many close games this year, as we know. But unfortunately, they have been on the losing end on most of those contests. Now, getting back to what I was saying, LeBron James, he finished with only 21 points, 11 rebounds. And, of course, Frank Vogel, one thing I did like that Frank Vogel did is he started the game with Austin Reeves getting his first ever start. That's something I've been saying all season, that I feel like Austin Reeves should be able to get a chance to be a starter. I don't necessarily know that it should have been in the place of Malik Monk or Avery Bradley, but we know Avery Bradley is hurt, and that's why he has not been playing. But we do know that Malik Monk, I think, should have been in that starting lineup with Austin Reeves, especially since the Lakers end up playing small, and they still could have played small while playing big with Dwight Howard had they done that, but they did not. And as a result, they trotted out once again Trevor Ariza, who actually didn't have that bad of a game. He came up with a steal or two, even though he's just not as quick as he needs to be on defense, and just really not knocking down a lot of outside threes. And speaking of three-pointers, of course, the Lakers shot only 26% from three. They only made 8 out of 31 threes. And at some point, you just have to stop taking all these threes. I mean, if you only 8 out of 31, they started the game like 0 out of 15 from 3, and it ended up being, it was like 3 out of 19, I think, going into the half. At that point, why do you keep taking so many threes? Obviously, you're not having a very good night. And Carmelo Anthony, who he made 4 of those 8 threes that they made for the entire game, And of course, he could not make that last three, which we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the end of that game in just a minute, because the whole end of that game was, to me, just a circus on behalf of the NBA, the rules committee and things like that. But at the end of the day, no excuses. The Lakers had ample and plenty opportunity to win that game. Matter of fact, let's just talk about that now. So, and I'm gonna touch on what I feel about Frank Vogel in this regard too. So at the end of the game, we all know that the Lakers, the ball went out on, let's say, LeBron James, but it was never called on LeBron James. So LeBron James supposedly touched the ball as his left foot landed inbounds, his right foot landed out of bounds while he was trying to throw it in. It was tough to see from an angle if it was actually off his fingertips, but they ultimately decided that it was. But the point is that the whistle never stopped play on that play. The whistle blew once, I believe it was Covington, the ball was thrown into, it came off his hands and he bounced the ball down outside of bounds, at what point the whistle blew. So the Lou was going to challenge this play, but he decided not to. There was conversation going on, you could tell, between the referees as well as Lou, and he decided that he was not going to challenge because they probably told him that wasn't the play. And that's probably, and I'm just guessing, this is speculation on my behalf, because it looked like they talked about it for a minute and they weren't going to challenge. And then, of course, lo and behold, Frank Vogel calls a timeout, allowing Tyronn Lue to go ahead and make the decision to challenge the play, which was absurd to me. And even in the game, I think the commentators, I can't even remember who they were, had mentioned that. Why would they do that? I think it may have been Reggie Miller, when you could have just went ahead and threw the ball inbounds and then called a timeout. Because if you throw the ball inbounds, a new play has started, now you call a timeout and they cannot go back and challenge. But you can't blame Vogel, because his rationale is that they could not challenge that. And I know a lot of people want to say LeBron crying to Richard Jefferson. Everything they try to do, they try to blow out of proportion when it comes to LeBron James, because they hate this man so much. And I'll touch on that in just a second too, because that's something I do want to talk about. But what I'm trying to say is LeBron James just simply told Richard Jefferson, just trying to let him know, like he knew the game was being nationally broadcast, just to let them know, hey, how can you go back and challenge something? That's not when the play was called dead. And I still disagree with it, but ultimately I can agree with it because it was right. You know, the main thing is you want to get it right, but at the end of the day, you want to have it within the realms of the rule book. I don't think that was the correct play for them to do that as far as challenging it, because I don't think that is a part of the rule. But at the end of the day, I'm not even that upset with it, because at the end of the day, the Lakers ended up with the chance to still win the ball game because of the boneheaded play of Reggie Jackson. So the Lakers played good defense. They tried to foul and couldn't. Reggie Jackson got away, and then when they weren't trying to foul, when they saw that they had him in a bad situation, then they called the phantom foul on him, and then the Lakers had to go ahead and challenge that and get their reverse. And then I don't know how out of a timeout do you not know that you only got a second and a half to get it across the court, and you do not do it. I mean, damn near seems scripted. You understand? Like, I don't understand. Like, you could not be that dumb. He explained it after the game that he thought he had a chance, enough time and quick enough to make a move and get across the floor, but he did not. And of course, the Lakers had another opportunity to win the game. But of course, what did they go ahead and do, y'all? What did the Lakers go ahead and do? Frank Vogel calls, because they got their timeout back when they challenged about the phantom foul call to get the 8-second violation. But Frank Vogel then calls another timeout, their last timeout, with like 18 seconds left. And I'm already thinking, why the hell are you calling the last timeout? Now, you can say that timeout. All you got to do, it was a violation. You got time. You got this veteran team. If you cannot go back down here with a veteran team and you're down by one, and you're not capable of that, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, two people that's been in the league for 18 years, you don't have confidence in them that you have to actually call a timeout and draw up a play. And then you draw up a play. That's not even a play. What was the play? Can somebody in the comments tell me what was the play? Because All it looked like to me was Westbrook threw the ball into LeBron while LeBron stood out here at the top of the key. Now, of course, he had 3 players running him, and he made the correct play as to throw it to Carmelo Anthony at the top of the key to make a 3. Now, up until that point, Carmelo was 50% from 3 and had shot 4 out of 8. Unfortunately, he ended the game 4 out of 9 because we all know that he missed that 3-point opportunity. But the thing is, it wasn't even a good catch by him. I could see if he would have caught it cleanly, but LeBron, with the pressure running at him, uncharacteristically of LeBron, he throws not just a perfect pass where Carmelo can just catch it and shoot it and release it like he normally does. He's a great catch and shooter, but he still had 5 seconds on the clock, and he should have known that he was 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line. Why did you take that shot? Why was there no cutters going to the basket? My point is, these are the 2 mistakes that was made. You use your last timeout, right? You use your last timeout, and now when he misses and they get the rebound, you cannot even have a timeout left. So even after you got the rebound and they got the rebound, there's only 2 seconds left. If it's only 2 seconds left, 2.8 seconds left, once they make the free throws, which they did, and go up by 3, then you have a timeout, and then you would have the ball back down here. You would have the ball back down here with 2.8 seconds left, enough time to draw up a play to get off a clean 3 perhaps. But no, we're talking about Frank Vogel, who can't even draw up a damn play. I guarantee I can go right back down here in the hood or anywhere down here, and I can find somebody who could draw up a damn play with somebody who can get to the. But this Frank Vogel can't even draw up a play at the end of the game down 1. Now, why can you not have a LeBron James cutting to the basket, or a Russell Westbrook cutting to the basket, or a Malik Monk cutting to the basket? Why not can you have pick and roll? You down by 1, you don't even need a 3. So why, with that much time left, nobody was cutting? Even when they forced it to Carmelo, why didn't Russ or somebody else cut to the basket? Why didn't LeBron himself, after he passed it to him and they ran out, cut to the basket? The Lakers played too much isolation basketball at the end of games. They could have won the Golden State game. Fortunately, they won the Utah game. But on the bright side, they have been in all of these games. On the bright side, they have been in all of these games. And these have been against some quality opponents, Golden State, Utah, and of course the Clippers. I won't say quality, but with the season that they're having and the position they're in, considering all the injuries, you must say that they are playing outstanding basketball. And we've seen them come back by down 30 a couple times this season to some damn good teams. So with all that being said, you know, the Clippers, they're a quality opponent, and most teams in the NBA at this point are quality opponents, except for your very bottom feeders. But what I'm trying to say is, had Frank Vogel had the timeout in his pocket, even if they missed, and that's another thing I want to touch on too, is why not have Dwight Howard in the game? Dwight Howard played what, 26 minutes? He had 16 rebounds. Dwight Howard had 16 rebounds, played 26 minutes. He was a +1 on the floor. Why didn't he get more of an opportunity? And I understand they forced him to go small by bringing Hartenstein out, and that was a hell of a. I won't even knock Frank Vogel for going small in that situation because he forced their hand. You didn't see Zubac rarely, and that's when the Lakers made that run. And he tried to counter with Hartenstein, and they still got him in foul trouble and played small. And that's when the Clippers had to counter that by playing small too with Morris, Covington, and company. So my point is, I won't. Other than the timeout by Vogel, the only other mistake I really would focus on is him starting Ariza. I don't think that was the best move, even though Ariza finished with a +1 as well. But at the end of the day, in key situations, I felt like the lineup should have been what the lineup was at the end of the Utah game, even though there was no Carmelo Anthony then because he was still injured for the Utah game. And I didn't mind having him out there while they were still playing small. But, you know, the way THT was playing that game too, why wasn't he cutting to the hole? I wouldn't even mind having some action for him, because if he can get to the basket, he's going to force the issue and get a foul call. Then he can go to the line and hit 2 and put the Lakers up by 1. And then you could have went late in the clock, did the pick and roll. Then and think about this as well, if you had Dwight Howard in the game, like I was saying, if you had Dwight Howard in the game, then guess what? You have an opportunity to get the offensive rebound and a putback. So by going small on the last offensive possession and not even having Dwight Howard in the game, how does that help you? Because you did not get the rebound after Carmelo Anthony missed a 3. You did not get that extra possession, and now they went up by 3. And then you still had an opportunity at the end because the Clippers just damn near want to give this game away when they made the long pass and had the turnover, giving you 0.7, which LeBron had a decent look at the end, but it just wasn't. It was online. It just wasn't strong enough. So, I still would say this: the way the Lakers played, at least they showed that they could have energy. They played a hell of a third quarter. They outscored the Clippers 31-15 in the third quarter. Now, if they can go out and play that kind of defense, even Carmelo Anthony, he was crashing the boards as much as he could. He was good with his hands as far as getting strips and takeaways. If he can continue, the Lakers can show that same energy. And, let me touch on Austin Reeves for a minute, because Austin Reeves played a hell of a game. I think he should continue to start. The defense he played on Reggie Jackson, you think he forgot how Reggie Jackson did him at the end of the game? You think he forgot that Reggie Jackson hit the game winner on them again the last time that they played the Clippers? The last time they played the Clippers, of course, when Westbrook did not close out, when Austin Reeves forced him baseline to close off the baseline, and he spit back around because Russell Westbrook went for the steal instead of helping. And speaking of Russell Westbrook, he did not have a bad game. He had 18 points, 3 rebounds, but he only had 1 assist. Some of those were due to missed shots because the Lakers missed so many threes, but Westbrook had 0 turnovers, and that's outstanding by Westbrook, and LeBron had 6 turnovers. So really, I got to lay this at LeBron James as well, because LeBron James, he played passively. He could have been more aggressive, especially at the end of the game. I know he had 3 people coming at him, but he waited, I think, too long to get into the action. The Clippers are number 5 in the league as far as defensive efficiency, and I think LeBron James, even it was Richard Jefferson, not Reggie Miller, because it was an ESPN broadcast. Even Richard Jefferson was saying, go to the hole, get something quick, even though it was time, because when you stand around and stagnate, you give the defense a chance to get set, and then they can see what you're trying to do, and then you're giving them a chance to react. The Lakers have been going downhill all second half and forcing the Clippers defense to react. And I will say this, the Lakers, when they play defense, they have been doing a good job because they can switch on all 5 positions. And they were doing a great job at switching and getting man-to-man and running out and defending the 3-point line. So, for the most part, Kennard, he hit good. Terrence Mann had a good game. They had, 5 players? They bench actually outscored their starting lineup. They had 5 players that was in double figures. You would wish that the Lakers sometimes can hit that. And then Morris, who didn't have a big game, what did he do? He had a big shot on Russell Westbrook, kind of broke him down and fell away with a nice fadeaway. That was money that put them up. But really, the Lakers were up 5 or 6 with 3 minutes left. They really shouldn't have lost that game. I think they were a little bit careless with the ball. Of course, we all know Russell Westbrook blew the bunny. He had an easy layup attempt that he could not convert. And as a result, the Lakers just could not come away with the victory. But I will say this, the way LeBron James has been playing all season, and he did kind of look like he favored his abs. I hope he didn't re-injure that, because even the commentators had said at one point, coming back down the floor, he was grimacing a couple times, grabbing at his midsection. So let's just hope that that is not the case. And if LeBron James can play anywhere near that he's been playing all season, then the Lakers still have a chance to meet in every game. And they did give an injury update on Anthony Davis, saying up to another 4 weeks. So that's going to be all of March and maybe the first week of April. So it's not looking good for the Lakers. They're going to have to hold on. So like I said, this game, man, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. Nashville, man, get these freeways together, man. I know y'all probably getting seasick watching this camera bounce up and down right now. Man, let me dodge on up out of here, y'all, before I end up getting sunken into some kind of oblivion out here. But like I'm saying, if LeBron James can continue play the way he has been playing. You understand what I'm saying? If he can continue to play the way that he has been playing, the Lakers will have a chance in every game, and I don't care if it's against Golden State or Phoenix or whoever. But the Lakers just have to come with energy. THT has to play. He's been playing pretty good as of late. If he can continue to hit outside shots, which he has been doing recently, and get to the basket and not making careless turnovers, and actually THT has been playing excellent defense too. Malik Monk needs to be more consistent. So instead of Frank Vogel saying, you got the lineup, you in the lineup, you got the lineup, you in the lineup, that kind of throws players' rhythms off. So come with a damn starting lineup. I would rather see Stanley Johnson, who only had 15 minutes. I'd rather see him play a little bit more. However, that was not the case. So, we all know the Lakers do take on the Pelicans tonight in one of their should be easier games, but they did acquire CJ McCollum, and they have been playing good as of late. So, nothing's going to come easy. That game will be telecast on ESPN tonight. I want to say 9 p.m. Central, but if you got on the West Coast, 7 o'clock, which I was on the West Coast, but it is what it is. But y'all, if the Lakers can get into the play-in game with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I still think that they have a shot to play. I mean, call it false hope, call it whatever you want to. I know the season, everybody's saying it's a wash, but I know LeBron James said he hated the play-in game last year, but he better love it this year, because if you look at the Lakers remaining, 24, 25 games, it is a very difficult schedule. They're going to hate that they blew all those easy games when LeBron James was out the first couple of weeks of the season, and they blew all those easy games against OKC, 2 games against OKC, a game against the Rockets, like teams like that they should have easily been putting away and didn't. You know, that's just going to really come back to bite them. And to me, that goes on coaching. When LeBron James missed all those games, there's no way that they should have been putting themselves in this position. Like, all those winnable games, you have to be. But now you're 5 games below 500. And like I said, you better be glad that there is this play-in tournament, because quite honestly, I really don't see the Clippers letting go of that 8th spot, and they trying to fight for more. Dallas, of course, is looking good. Denver, the Lakers got 2 games against Denver down the stretch, so that's going to be important. Without Anthony Davis, it's going to be a very, very hard-fought contest. But like I said, if the Lakers can play defense, people keep thinking that they cannot play defense, but when they play it in spurts, like in that third quarter where they held the Clippers to 15, that shows me that they are capable of playing defense. So the Lakers winning games and turning the season around is going to come on that side of the floor. Luckily, that's the one thing that Frank Vogel is good at, is getting players coached and more developed on defense, because you can clearly see that THT is actually developing into a great defender, way better than he used to be, because he used to be a liability. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that now. Malik Monk needs to get better on defense to increase his playing minutes, and he has to get more consistent. And I think the way he needs to do that is to get on the inside. He needs to get on the inside, go to the paint, not always just shoot threes, you know, just to get himself going, because he's more than capable of playing off the dribble. So let's just see what the Lakers can do tonight. Man, as always, it's your boy B New. I'm just saying, right on to the real, man, and much love to these haters. I'm about, and as always.